Today I will share with you how to make a Christmas lights video using your Insta360 One X2 so you can make a video which looks like this. Filming in low light is very tricky because there is always the risk that you might get noisy footage, blurry footage, micro jitters in your footage, or footage that is too dark or too bright. And you'll get all of these problems if you use auto exposure mode. Luckily, the Best360 Manual Exposure flowchart will help you avoid all of these problems. So this flowchart will help you set the best manual exposure settings, the correct ISO and shutter speed, so you get the best video quality possible of the Christmas lights. So I'll leave a link to the flowchart in the video description. Let's go through one example of how I shot one of my Christmas lights scene using the manual exposure flowchart. The opening scene in my video was Tate Britain. I used the Insta360 One X2 with the Best360 monopod to capture the shot. It's really important to make sure you have a camera stand with a wide base and counterweight when filming outdoors, so your 360 camera has less chance of getting blown over in the wind. I will include a link to the Best360 monopod in the video description. Then I connected the One X2 to my phone so I can see a live preview on the Insta360 app, and this will help me set the correct manual exposure settings. Next, go into standard video mode and make sure the One X2 is set to record 5.7K, 30 frames per second, to record the highest video quality possible. Next, tap manual exposure mode, so you can set the ISO and shutter speed. This is where the flowchart process begins, and the first thing you need to do is set the base setting. And this is basically a starting off point, which you will tweak later. To set the base setting, the flowchart says to set the ISO to 100. A low ISO will make your video look cleaner but appear darker, and a high ISO will make your video look more grainy but appear brighter. So we always start off with the lowest ISO to get the cleanest video possible. Next, the flowchart asks, does video have motion? And the reason the flowchart asks you this question is because you need to set the correct shutter speed to avoid micro jitters and blurry video. And to set the correct shutter speed, it depends on the amount of motion in your video. If your 360 camera is still on a monopod, then there is no motion. If you are walking with your 360 camera, then there is moderate motion. And if you are doing extreme action sports with your 360 camera, then there is extreme motion. A low shutter speed will make your video have more motion blur but appear brighter, and a high shutter speed will make your video have less motion blur but appear darker. In my example, I am using a monopod, so I will follow the none arrow, and the flowchart tells me to set the shutter speed 2 times the frames per second. Since I am shooting at 30 frames per second, 30 times 2 is 60, so I will set the shutter speed to 1/60th of a second, and now the base setting is set. The next part of the flowchart is going to tweak the base setting to make sure that the video exposure is perfect, so that it's not too dark or too bright. Next, the flowchart asks, is the video too bright? In this example, it is not, so I will follow the no arrow. Next, the flowchart asks, is the video too dark? It is not, so I'll follow the no arrow. Finally, the flowchart tells me to press record. Then finally, I will edit the shot in the Insta360 app to make my static shot look a little bit more dynamic. So I've trimmed this shot down to 7 seconds, and I'm going to add a pivot point at the beginning of this shot and change the view to wide so we can see the lights a little bit closer up. And then I'll scroll just before the end of this shot to look up towards Tate Britain so we can see more of the lights. Add a pivot point here, change the view to linear so it zooms in, and I now have a shot which looks like this. This is how you nail manual exposure settings every time. Now let's go through another example in the iconic Regent Street in London. Just like before, I will set the 1x2 to record 5.7K 30 for the highest video quality possible. Then go into standard video mode, manual exposure mode, set the ISO to 100. Does the video have motion? No, the camera is still on a monopod, so I'll follow the none arrow. Now I need to set the shutter speed 2 times the frames per second. 2 times 30 equals 60, so I'll set the shutter speed to 1/60th of a second, and now the base setting is set. Is the video too bright? No, so I'll follow the no arrow. Is the video too dark? I think it is, so I'll follow the yes arrow. Is the ISO set to 400? The reason the flowchart asks you this question is because if you set the ISO above 400, then you will get grainy video. No, it's only 100 right now, so I'll follow the no arrow. Increase ISO by 1 step. Okay, so I'll increase the ISO from 100 to 200. Is the video too bright? No, so I'll follow the no arrow. Is the video too dark? No, so I'll follow the no arrow. And perfect, I can now hit record, and this is the result. If you want to film the Christmas lights with some motion, like on top of a slow moving car, then you will need to follow the moderate arrow on the flowchart, and if for whatever reason you are still getting blurry video, then you need to follow the extreme arrow instead. For the scenes where I had the 1x2 on top of my car, I used the Best360 magnetic camera mount and the Best360 10cm spacer. If you want to put the skills you learned from this video into practice, then you might want to join us over at Best360 Club on Facebook. I am asking people from all around the world in the Best360 Club on Facebook to submit a 30-second 360 video of the Christmas lights in an iconic part of their city. And then I'll compile all these 360 video clips into a single Christmas lights around the world 360 video, so that we can enjoy the Christmas lights in any part of the world through a VR headset. If your 360 video clip makes the final cut, then I will include your social media handle inside the video and also in the video description. To take part in this project, then definitely check out Best360 Club on Facebook, and I'll leave a link in the video description where you'll find out more details. The deadline is very soon, so definitely check it out straight after this video. I hope you found this video useful, and I look forward to see your Christmas lights videos. Take care, and I'll see you in the next one.